Good afternoon and welcome to yet again another artist profile. Today I have Simon Stirzaker, who has purposely told me his name beforehand so that I don't fucking rinse it like the last time where I just called him a fucking Greg sausage roll. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking with that. Just a bit of a brain fart, innit? But I have Simon. I mean, I'm glad that I didn't insult you too much. I mean, to be fair, you can't really be insulted by a Greg sausage roll because they're just fucking sick, aren't they?
Can't. Everybody loves you.
Though the vegan ones are better. I'm just saying. Right, end of this interview. Fuck you. Anyway, today I have Simon on, and we are discussing his single, which now comes out next month, if I'm correct.
I've still not decided a date, even though I said to my people that I'd give a few days, within a few days of me cancelling the release, I said I was going to release a new date, which I still haven't done.
Right, well, you should probably get on with that. But his new single comes out at some point, whenever he can be asked to fucking tell anyone a fucking date, otherwise he'll just keep it a secret for the rest of his life. But his single, Getting High and Landing, will be released in the next 10 years or so. So I've got Simon with me today, and I'm going to ask him a few questions about this song, about himself, and then we'll ask him a few dumb questions at the end. Is that all right with you, Simon?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So we'll start off with the first question, as always. That usually helps when you're doing these. And that is, what is it most that inspires you to write?
I think it's mainly like the books I read, the things I read in the news. I've been reading a bit of poetry lately as well, and that's been inspiring me. It's mainly, I think the biggest things I write about are things that other people avoid. So like rather than this one that's coming out may sound like a bit of a love song, but it talks about sort of issues with girls and nightclubs and drugs and alcohol and whatever. But it's sense. Go on.
No, sorry. No, you go on.
It's like sensitive issues that other people normally avoid that I like talking about because it's stuff I've been through, and there's a lot of my songs that are like that.
So it's basically taking the subjects that are, as you say, taboo to people, that people don't really like to talk about, but obviously through your experiences of them, you want to essentially bring the conversation about these subjects to light.
Yeah, so like a lot of my songs, there's a conversationalist element about. Right. So like there's a bit in Getting High and Landing that's coming out that I think there's a bit where I ask a girl to come back to mine. No, sorry. I tell her to go back and see the man that she's like in love with and she's actually with, right? Because she's cheating with him, and she ends up replying to me, I can't do that because of people like you.
Oh,
which has a rather pretentious element about it because that didn't actually happen.
No, but obviously in a story aspect, obviously that's something that can be quite real, isn't it? If you think about it.
Well, yeah, it's something that a lot of people go through. I know you compared when you heard the first demo to like Bon Jovi type stuff, and that's where I get that element of my writing from. Like I know he writes a lot of stories and makes up characters.
Yes, yeah.
So I've listened to him from like being the age of probably 8. So that's where that element came from.
Fair do. How old are you now?
18.
You're 18, yeah. So obviously throughout, if you're listening to that like artist for such a long time, and obviously you're primarily a guitar player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then obviously that will eventually then start to bleed into obviously what you do as well. So yeah, that's fair. I understand that. Fair do. So obviously talking about this song, then why this one in particular? Because I'm obviously sure that you have many more written. So why did you go for this one particularly as your first single?
In my head, it's sort of been the beginning of, I guess you could call it like a saga of stories.
Fair.
Because there's a lot of times across my first year at uni, it's primarily all come from where I've been in like, say, nightclubs or certain situations, but they all sort of start spanning from one night. Mm-hmm. So if I take the story from that first night and then I come across the rest of them, and then there's one song that sums it up at the end. That's sort of all about my mental health, because it's all coming down to an EP at the end, which I've still not decided also when I'm releasing.
But fair do. I mean, that's kind of good then in a way that you've got a plan for it. So obviously, I then assume with the next single that this will sort of continue on from this one, and then the one after that will continue on from this one until obviously you have your EP, which will just be one kind of story in a way.
Yeah, definitely. It's like I said, I summed it up as like sagas and chapters. So it's like I've got one night out, then I've got another night out, and then I might have a song about being sat in my room on my own, hungover and depressed as shit. But
that's fair. I think that's definitely I don't know if different's the right word, but something that's not used that much. I definitely think with smaller artists and whatnot with EPs these days is that they'll have a general basis for what they want to write something about. So like one song will be about how they fell in love with a girl, another song will be about, I don't know, they went and took shit tons of drugs, and then the other one's about something or other. Do you know what I mean? But they don't seem to relate to each other. So it's kind of interesting to see now that when you're writing an EP, every song relates and just sort of tells this one massive story, which I definitely think is something that's not really being done that much at the moment.
Yeah, there's an element of like, there's a bit of an oxymoron, I think that's the right word, because it's like you've got the element of clarity of I know where the story's going, but then there's also an element of confusion in there's a change of scene or girl in every song. Like, but I've sort of been through the motions this year with like there's been a lot of like girls and sleeping around and booze and drugs and sort of after gigs especially, like that I did with the Baboon Room, and it got to like quite a dark place in my own head, which sounds like a bit of a sob story and depressing, but
no, not at all, man.
Kind of sums up this whole confusion with a sense of clarity in my own head, which I had.
Yeah. Is this why you've essentially gone for, oh my god, that's the biggest fucking spider I've seen? Jesus Christ. Sorry, that really distracted me. Fuck me. Oh, I need to get rid of that. Tell you what, I'll ask you this question, and then I'll let you continue answering that whilst I quickly kill this cunt. So, with Getting High and Landing, did you pick that song name because you're essentially getting so high on the things that you're doing that when you land, it's sort of like a very big fucking realization?
Yeah, so it's basically like the story of that song is you're like coming up, and like it's the whole song's like pretty much one whole metaphor for drugs. Cause it's like you're coming up and getting high on what you're doing, and you're very high on life and what's going on in that moment, and then you've sort of got the reality that something else happens and there's something else in the background that you didn't expect to be there, and you kind of get to that point where you're coming down and you're landing, and reality hits you and you're sort of back to square one.
Fair. I completely understand the meaning of the song now. Like when I first initially listened to it, I wasn't sort of sure what the meaning behind it was, and you've actually answered two of my questions in one answer, so thank you for that.
That saves you time.
Yeah, definitely, man. Not that I'm trying to get rid of you or anything. No, I'm joking, of course not. So obviously talking about your first demo that you've done, so obviously talking about the first demo, and obviously you've watched the video that I made talking about that first demo. Is there anything that I sort of pointed out or criticised that you've taken into consideration into making this new demo?
The vocals was the very first thing.
Okay.
The vocals were instantly, like, they popped out. I took all the... I'd kind of disguised them in effects and hadn't realised I was doing so in the process, so I took all the delay and reverb off when I was stripping it back, and they were so out of tune, it was unreal. I literally deleted the track instantly.
Oh, mad.
And got to work recording it the next day.
Nice.
I re-recorded pretty much everything. All I did really to the drums and the bass was I dragged the bass over from one sort of window, and the same with the drums, but I edited the drums to be more in time and quantized them, because I'm not really the best drummer in the world, so that was like the most basic drum beat I could put down.
Yeah.
I don't have the knowledge to do much more than that. The guitar I've obviously left the same, because that was sort of the lead guitar part wasn't improvised. I'd written the riff beforehand, so that the sort of the da, 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 that you hear between the in the intro and in between the verses, it's like a motif that keeps coming back to you.
Yeah. That is one thing that I found from it, is that even after listening to it, I just had that fucking do do do, and I was stuck in my head. Like,
that was the point of it. Like all my favorite songwriters have always been like, the motif does not have to be in the vocals. Like, there's not really much of a motif if we can agree in the chorus of that song.
Yeah.
I will admit I am a pretty shit vocalist. I am not the best vocalist on planet Earth. So,
I mean, like, if you're thinking about, like you're saying about guitar motifs, like really bad example, but like Sweet Child of Mine isn't known. Well, I mean, it is known for its weird fucking vocals, but that guitar line is what basically everyone knows about that song. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
it had to be the Slash example, didn't it?
It did, yeah. I'm sorry. It's the first thing that came into my head. But fuck. But just Sweet Child of Mine is just such a memorable song, but for its guitar line. So I definitely understand the want and the sort of need of making a song not catchy because of its vocals, but because of its guitar line.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think I was saying to you before we started this video, it's like, it's my art of expression. It's the only way for the past like 7 years of my life I've really known how to communicate with people.
Yeah.
If you tell me to talk with words and write down my feelings, I am very, very sucky at it. I am not good at it.
Yeah.
But if you put a guitar in my hand and say to me, right, play how you feel, I'll do it. And that was what that song was. In the guitar solo was literally, I picked up my guitar and thought, right, I'll whack on these effects and this is how I feel, and I improvised the solo.
Fair do. Well, I mean, it seems like it's a good escape for you then, really, because drums was the same thing for me. Like, if I'm pissed off and you ask me to play you a beat, then you're probably just going to get fucking thrash metal thrown in your face. Or if I'm feeling like really happy, then you'd get more of a happy poppy beat. So I definitely think that's the one thing that musicians obviously find, and it helps with the music, is that when you're feeling a specific emotion or a specific mood, by then playing your instrument, you can then make the song that you want to make to that emotion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So obviously this song's quite a deep and personal song for you, so I can imagine that if you're feeling them emotions that you felt whilst telling the story, then obviously it's going to come across in the way that you play, in the way that you sing.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole thing behind it. It's like I say about my vocals, I am not going to be the best in the world, so I'm hoping that you can hear in that last one that there's an element of, like, I don't know, there's a bit of pain and sorrow in my voice.
Yeah, I mean, without giving too much, because obviously I've got the review coming out of it when you give me permission, but the vocals compared to, pardon me, the last one that I heard, definitely have more human feel to them. Not that the last ones were robotic, but I kind of felt like in the first one it came across as you were singing for the sake of the song, whereas now it feels more like you're singing for the sake of you.
Yeah,
which
I'll
may be the
apologise
most
for that.
cliche thing I've ever said, but
that first demo that I sent you, I think I actually told you in a message, I was kind of half pissed while I recorded the whole of that.
Yeah, you did.
I was rather intoxicated. That's where the line "intoxicated" me came from.
That's the always the best way to start when you record a song. Just that's fucked.
Rock and roll.
Oh, shut up.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Without the first two.
No, just stop. You're gonna make this so much worse by just going like, yeah, sex, drugs, and sausage rolls. Do you remember them fucking really shit shirts that used to have them on? I used to go to this place where I'm from called Great Yarmouth,
Right.
You'd always find T-shirts hanging up outside shops that said "sex, drugs, and sausage rolls." And then you'd see people like unironically walking around with them, and it'd be like, "Mate, what are you doing? Surely, like, your wife must look at you and go, what the fuck are you doing with yourself, man?" Just pathetic.
Just the most dad thing to do ever, isn't it?
Oh, it's disgusting. It's so disgusting. It's grim. I hate it.
Just like that joke when I made it.
No comment. So, obviously, you've been in bands throughout your music career, and obviously now you're doing a solo project.
Yeah.
Now, first question about that is, are you looking, obviously, with your solo stuff, to then start gigging as a solo musician, maybe with a backing band, or is this purely going to be a sort of release thing only?
This is definitely I want a gig. I'm not a recording artist. I do not enjoy being in the studio. I don't like the pressure of it. I don't like cameras on me. I don't like the record button. I don't like seeing a little red light.
Oh mate, you've come to the wrong place right now then.
I have come to the wrong place right now. You want to see my uni assignments? They took me because I hate cameras so much, it took me literally 30 takes to record every single video.
Jeez, man. Bless you.
I just don't like the pressure of being behind a camera or being recorded. I don't know, it's something that's in my own head. But if you put me on a stage, it's like seeing a different person, I suppose.
It's
that was a baboon room Easter egg.
Wow. Wow.
I'm sorry, I had to.
I don't even know where I can continue on from that, apart from how fucking disappointed I am. But no, I think it's just a matter of comfort zones, because there's so many people I've met throughout my career who have been so. You meet them, you're like, "You're right, mate," and you just got to forget, "Yeah, I'm alright, man. Yeah, how are you? You good? Yeah." And then they go on stage and then they're like fucking jumping, backflipping, fucking killing people. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just a matter of your comfort zone and where you apply yourself most.
That's something I kind of relate to, because I've I don't know if all musicians go through this, but I have never ever. Excuse me.
Yay! Someone else is doing it, not just me. Fuck yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake! No. Sorry, my headphone came unplugged. It's a series of unfortunate events. Where were we?
You were saying about, don't know if all musicians relate to this.
I don't know if all musicians go through this, but it's like, I have never ever been the popular kid, and I never will be the popular kid. And I suppose because I've been a lot different to other people, it's generally not given me that acceptance.
Right, fair.
So it's like, I've lost track of where I was going.
Sorry, man, no worries.
What was the question again? Go
on. No, you were saying about whether musicians can relate to something like this. Because I was saying about, obviously, like live music, and we was talking about the comfort zones of people when you're on stage and when they're off stage.
Right, yeah.
And you were saying about how about obviously feeling like you're not the popular kid and the acceptance of being that.
Yeah. Right. So like when I'm on stage, it's completely different, because obviously, as I've just said, I'm never going to be that popular kid, and I never have been. Mm-hmm. In fact, for most of my life, I've actually been picked on, which, boo-hoo, violin, whatever.
No, man. I mean, it happens to the best of us. Do you know what I mean?
But like that stage has always been my escape. Like there was a lot of people who I only started getting into bands like the end of my high school life.
Okay.
That was the first time people started wanting to play with me in bands. That's a poster falling down behind me. For God's sake.
It's all good, man.
Right, yeah, but like I started getting into bands, but I'd been primarily a solo artist.
Okay.
Because of that lack of acceptance, people didn't really want to play in them bands. But that me getting on stage on my own was me confronting my own demons of nobody can pick on me here. This is this little 10-foot space is my sort of comfort zone. This is my box where I can't be like got at by anybody.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I can relate to that, but I'm sure that tons of people will be able to relate to that. It's kind of sad to see how much people have gone through to the point where they don't feel like they are anything off of the stage, if you know what I mean. It's a shame, but I definitely think trying to see light in a bad situation, that it definitely gives people more motivation to go up and be the best that they can.
I've definitely gained, especially the past year with being in Baboon Room and sort of the shows I've played around Manchester and the friends I've made primarily from that, I've gained more of a persona off stage. Yeah. Like I've now got, you'll know when I'm in a room now because of that.
Yeah.
And because of that time, so like I'm more hyper. I'm more happy to talk to sort of anybody who approaches me.
Cool. That's obviously good, and I mean, I think in the nicest way that I can sort of say this as well. I think especially throughout the music industry and whatnot, you do kind of have to have that confidence and sociability to you as well. And
yeah.
Obviously, people should take it in their own time. It should never be forced upon someone. But I definitely think that, especially if you're looking for big time leagues, then that sociability and that confidence is needed, but obviously in your own time rather than having it forced upon you. So I will sort of just say, actually, very genuinely, that I'm very glad that after what I can only assume doubting yourself for so long, you've now finally found this newfound confidence and appreciation for yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's what's led me to, as a whole, release my own music. Because cool. I've been writing stuff for 2-3 years that I've just not bothered putting anywhere or performing anywhere or doing anything with. Mm-hmm. That I've now thought to myself, you know what, like fuck it, I'll do what I want. This is kind of a world where if you don't try, you don't succeed.
Exactly, that is exactly it, man. And you can either do it or you can spend your entire life wondering what if.
Well, yeah, you don't want to rest on your laurels. If you're going to sit there and just think what could have been, then you may as well just quit. Yeah.
Wow, this has been the deepest chat I've ever had on one of these before, and I fucking love it. Nice, man.
I don't know whether I'm like deep and depressing or just insightful. I can't decide.
No, I'd say it's more insightful. I mean, I definitely think that it depends on how people approach it. I think that this is perfectly fine. I think there's a difference between I've had a bad time, but I'm now using that for good, and this will sound like such a dick thing to say, but
I've had a bad time and I want to die.
No, people saying I'm having a bad time, everyone feels sorry for me and give me what I want. Do you know what I mean? I definitely
like the people on X Factor.
Yeah, oh mate, don't even get me fucking started on that. Like, I swear to God, watching that fucking shit, that the only reason they fucking get put through is because they feel sorry for them, because they come up with the most fucking bullshit story. Like, one day, I auditioned for Britain's Got Talent back in 2013, and I went in all fucking happy and was like, yeah man, I love my life, I just love playing drums. I got denied. Fine, whatever. And then I watched the series that I was supposed to appear on, and they had an old man on there who was literally just like crushing watermelons with a fucking hammer. And the reason why he like got through is because, one, he was old, and two, he was like, yeah, well, recently my wife died. And I'm like, yeah, that's really sad, but you can't use that as a way of getting someone.
That's just not.
Oh, it does my head in. Fucking fuck off. It's just not genuine, man, because X Factor and Britain's Got Talent, I mean, like, it's a pile of dog shit anyway.
If you want my honest opinion, and this is controversial, but I think them two programs have single-handedly been the death of rock music.
I wouldn't say like rock music.
Good music.
I would. Yeah, I would. I mean, rock music being good music is a very, very diverse opinion there. But
that's true.
Definitely not talking out of my own opinion there. But I definitely think that Britain's Got Talent and X Factor have succeeded in killing the industry and giving it a bit of a stupid name and a bit of a stupid look, because you get these half-assed fucking morons who know they can't sing, and I remember during early years of X Factor that they always used to. Sorry, I am really derailing here, but I always remember in early years of X Factor they'd put people through just because they were so fucking stupid, because they knew they couldn't sing and they were just basically acting a fool, and they were like, you know what, this is really good entertainment value. And then,
well, yeah, do you remember that? What was his fucking name? The group. They were like a duo. I think they were called Jedward or something.
oh,
They got through just because
Jedward.
they had fucking stupid hair every week.
I mean, in all honesty, looking at them now, they can sing and they have made songs that people like. I still don't like them, but I think like a better example would be. Do you remember Wagner?
Oh my god, he was my second example.
Yeah, like it makes it look stupid. It makes it look dumb, and it just does my fucking head in. So
Basically, just turns the entertainment industry into a gimmick, doesn't it?
yeah, essentially, I think anyway. I mean, obviously, a lot of people will disagree, and that's completely fine. But I personally think that it's just a big pile of flaming dog shit.
I'll agree with you there.
Thanks, man. I'm glad. Imagine doing this entire section, and at the end you just go, "Well, you're wrong," and I'll be like, oh, "All right, never mind."
Your opinion's the fucking flaming pile of dog shit.
Thanks, man. So going
Obviously, I
back
don't
to
mean
no, that's fine, man. That's fine, man. I'll make sure to keep this on private so it never goes out.
Fair enough.
Joking, I'm joking. So obviously going back on track to not X Factor and Britain's Got Talent. Is there anything that you've? This is kind of on track. Anything that you've learned throughout this quarantine? I was speaking to Tom Rossi yesterday, and we were saying that obviously the quarantine has vastly affected the entertainment industry. Some ways in a positive way, like video games and films and Netflix and Amazon Prime and all that jazz. But obviously for the music industry, pardon me, for the music industry, it has affected it in such a big way, because live music is obviously a way that musicians get their oh my god, what I'm trying to say, get their place at be it seen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
So is there anything that you think that you sort of learned throughout this quarantine that you'll then use coming out of it?
Probably just to be more confident of my own ability musically. Like, I didn't. If you'd have told me, like, at the start of this, when we were going into lockdown, that I'd have recorded, I don't know how many songs, I'm gonna say around 20 songs that I've got finished on my laptop now.
Okay.
But if you'd have told me I'd have been doing that and had them fully complete with like band setups, synths, guitar lines that I was happy with behind them, I'd have probably called you a fucking bullshitter. Because all I was at the start of this quarantine was, I could play a little bit of bass. If you put me behind a drum kit, I could probably do a fucking basic cover of Highway to Hell by AC/DC.
I don't think that's 4/4, mate. That's not 4 3/4.
Shut up!
Sorry, I had to.
Hope this video ends here.
Oh, sorry. Carry it on. Oh my god. Right, I'm okay. I'm okay. Fine, it's fine. It's all good. Sorry, please carry on with what you were saying.
Right. But yeah, I could play a little bit of most instruments that I needed to, but not to the level of competence where I could record it into a song and make it sound half decent.
Right.
So then it came to like my lyric writing as well, and being more confident in that. That was the biggest thing for me, because I always kind of looked back at songs that I wrote,
Yeah.
and I thought, nah, that's shit, I'm not doing anything with it. And that's where a lot of my demos have just fallen on their arse.
Fair. So obviously
But-
now that this confidence that you've now got is now just basically helping you just to not push it out, but get it out there.
Yeah, I've adopted a rather... I can't think of a better way of putting this, so a rather fuck it attitude. If I want to do something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and why should you not? I mean, you should never have to obviously explain yourself to people, and you should never really... I mean, I should probably take my own advice, but you should never really doubt yourself, because this is something that I said to my housemate before regarding when he was talking about his music. Only you can do you. Like, there is never going to be another Steinman? Another Simon Stirzaker, do you know what I mean? So
there's a very famous analogy about that in a YouTube video that Eddie... I think it was in a YouTube video, or someone told me about it anyway.
Right.
But basically, there was a lad who was really good at guitar in the 80s. You know when Eddie Van Halen was at, like, peak Van Halen?
Yeah.
He went on stage and he was supporting Eddie Van Halen, and I can't remember who it was. But he picked up Eddie Van Halen's guitar, played through Eddie Van Halen's rig, and he went, "Why don't I sound like Van Halen?" It's because Van Halen. It's all through your own art of communication.
Yeah.
Nobody can sound like Eddie Van Halen with the way his fingers move or how he picks. No. Nobody will ever sound the same as anybody else.
Nope.
Unless you're Mark Martel and you just blatantly rip off Freddie Mercury, but that's another story.
I wish I knew who that was, but I don't.
He's actually really famous now, I think.
Oh, mad.
He's been doing world tours for like the past 2 years because some video of him singing Bohemian Rhapsody and sounding exactly like Freddie Mercury went viral.
Him! Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, but what's the point of that, man? Just do your own thing, fucking hell.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, dear. But no, fair enough. Yeah, I'm just
I say that well. Half my songs sound like the 1975 rip-off.
Oh, don't you dare insult the 1975 like that. It is Bon Jovi.
No, not this song, but there's other songs that are coming soon.
Oh, okay.
Just sound too much like the 1975.
I mean, I'm currently wearing a 1975 shirt, so if it doesn't sound like it, I'll be very upset.
I have the corner of a 1975 poster up in my room there.
Yeah, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 pieces of 1975 shit up on my wall.
Was that supposed to be a flex?
No, man, it's me proving how fucking sad I am, to be honest.
I mean, same, I also have a Slash poster.
Oh, right,
on
yeah,
the
that
wall,
is pretty sad,
which
to be honest.
Ties in with your analogy of me. Still the proudest day of my life, like I got compared to Slash.
Yeah?
Even though I'm a B-Tech version.
I mean, I did say Slash is having a stroke on the guitar, but... if you...
That's true.
Never
That's
mind.
what I mean, B-Tech version.
Never mind. I'm just not going to continue that or pursue that in any way possible. Just gonna ask.
That turned into an insult rather quickly.
It's in the video, man. You've said it already.
I know.
I'm just going to ask you a final few pretty just quirky, dumb questions. I always judge people on this first answer, so I hope you're going to give me the right one. But custard creams or chocolate bourbons?
It's got to be bourbons.
Yes! Another person is normal. Fuck! Okay, cool. I'll allow that. Jam or peanut butter?
I have no preference. I don't like either.
Mate, to be honest, neither do I. I don't know why. It's just
I rarely eat toast. Like, I've been on a diet during lockdown that's like cut bread out of my diet. I've not eaten bread for like 4 months.
I can't remember the last time I ate bread, to be honest, mate. Maybe it was when I did that duck fetish thing.
I don't want to know about your fetishes. Let's not.
Yeah, I dress up as a duck and go down the river and get people to feed me bread, and I just get off on it. Do you know what I mean? Just got a feeling that someone's going to go down the river one day and just find me dressed, just fucking painted all white, going, just asking for Oh dear me.
Please jump in Manchester Canal in a duck's.
I've already got a vague idea of what you're going to say for this answer, but if you could play with any band or artist, alive or dead, who would it be?
Weirdly, probably Michael Jackson.
Ooh, that would be a good one. Yeah.
Just because he is literally the first music I remember hearing. I remember hearing. He wrote a song about a rat. The song Ben is literally about a rat.
Oh man.
But I remember hearing that at like the age of maybe 3 or something in my dad's car, and it's stuck with me since.
Mad shit. Oh, fair do. Yeah, I mean, Michael Jackson would be a fucking sick one to play with, to be honest. Not only that, but you'd also be playing with, like, the most famous man ever. Well, famous musician ever. Because, I mean, I think he is anyway. I think, like, there's no one who's been bigger than Michael Jackson.
I'd dispute it based on... You can look at, like, stats that apparently Beatles have sold the most records ever.
Oh,
like,
mad.
Period. But I'd also say Queen are probably like people still like are regular listeners to Queen.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I'd agree with that, to be honest. Yeah, fair enough. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze.
Which are probably my second band that I'd love to play alongside.
No, I'm not gonna sneeze. No, it's okay. Yeah, no, I think playing with Queen would be so sick. I watched the Bohemian Rhapsody film in cinemas, and then just went home and just learned all of the Queen songs on drums, and was just like, oh man, I'd love to be in Queen. I had a massive Queen phase for like a week, and then it just died, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess. So weird.
I don't think my Queen phase ever ended.
Fair enough.
Sadly, like you hear most of my guitar playing, you hear Brian May in.
Fair. Yeah.
Rather than Slash.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, thinking about it now, it makes more sense. Yeah, I'd agree with that, to be honest.
So Brian May sounds like Slash having a stroke. Brilliant.
You're never going to let me live that down. Damn. I'll have to be nice in the next video so I don't get this constantly fucking thrown back at me. Yeah, no, it's a really good song. There's nothing wrong with it. There's definitely no comparisons to any musicians having stroke, so it's all good. It's all good.
Even if there is. Oh, well.
And just, yeah, my final question before I unfortunately have to leave you today, and that is there anything that we should be looking forward to in the future? Obviously, you've got your single release coming next month, ? But you've also obviously got loads of songs written. Is there a Simon Stirzaker EP, maybe an album, any gigs that you're planning to do, a music video? Just what have you got in the future that we should be looking forward to?
Well, EP-wise, I did a poll on my Instagram the other day that I got quite a big reaction on, actually, which I was shocked at.
Nice.
That said I think people would prefer to see a single and then an EP released 3 months after, so I'm thinking that path.
Cool. So
there'll probably be an EP. My EP release will probably be around September, October, something like that.
Cool, nice. Do you already have like the songs that you want as part of the EP, or?
Well, I'm debating between EP and album at this point because I've got that much that I want to put onto one EP.
Yeah. That's
part of one big story. That's like, I can't decide what to put on it. So it's either going to be I'll have to make a lot of decisions and narrow it down, or I'll just make it an album. Which I don't know if the album world's dying out, but that's a new conversation. Then the gig scenario, I'm not gonna say too much because I've not got band members sorted yet, but I've had contact with a couple of promoters from Liverpool.
Nice.
And then there's a couple of guys that I know in Manchester that have offered me slots.
Cool.
Around December, January time. But then obviously that depends on whether I've got my band together by then. I've got a guitarist, so
is that you?
Need to find drum and bass. Between me and my mate, I lived in my flat last year, called Alex.
Nice. Cool. Nice. So
So
that's
I don't actually know if he's fully agreed to play for me yet. That was just he'd offered to do it, but I don't know whether he'd confirmed it.
You just kind of gave him a job and was like, yeah, fuck it, man. Here you go.
Alex, if you see this, you've just been named my guitarist.
Alex, whoever you are now the guitarist of Simon Stirzaker.
I'm
sorry, mate. Don't know why I said sorry. That's just what came into my head. Oh.
I'm gonna end up with a massive band anyway because I've got like 2 synth lines that need playing, 2 guitar lines, a bass, and a drummer.
Backing tracks, mate. Let's get backing tracks.
I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing.
Yeah, it's a good
the
shout.
easier way.
Yeah, man, it is, especially for synth and stuff. Rather than have to have an additional member, just keep it as a 4-piece, but have your backing track.
More pay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what we get £5 per fucking gig, so that's an extra 26p for you.
£5? Fuck off.
Oh, mate,
I get 26. I get 26p.
I was going to say, I think the most I've ever made in a gig in Manchester in 2 years that I've been here is probably about tenner. And we played a show. Incarnate played a show where we sold out one of the venues. We obviously had to pay off the venue and all of the hire and everything that we had to do, and I think overall we got about 10 quid each.
I've done quite well for myself out of my own gigs. Like I organised a gig back home last summer before I left for uni. That I had to pay like 200 quid before 200 quid out between sound engineer and venue hire.
Right.
And stuff like that before I even thought about my own profit, and I think I still ended up making like 180 quid profit that night, which was quite good.
Fucking hell, alright, jeez.
And then after that, I think the most I've made was I did a session gig just before I left Manchester for lockdown that was, I think I got 40 quid from.
Nice.
Which wasn't too bad.
Not bad, man. Cool. Well, I have to just say a massive thank you to you for being here today and having a chat with me.
Thank you for having me, man.
No worries, man. I'm looking forward to listening to this final mix, and obviously looking forward to this EP that you're also going to bring out as well. I'll be fucking exciting, mate.
I promise I won't send you 76 mixes this time.
It's perfectly fine, man. Send me as much as you want. I just leave you on red.
Brilliant. Like most of the females I talk to.
Oh, yeah, but I'm not... actually, you know what? I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I'm just going to end this here. Thank you ever so much for watching. I'll make sure to link all of Simon's socials down below so you can check him out. And you can also keep an eye on for when he's going to release his new single, Getting High and Landing. Thank you, Simon, for being here, and thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice day. Thank you.